to order for Wednesday, March 11th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Staff, could you please ascertain the presence of a quorum? Here.
All right, we're going to try this one. Mr. Bunkevist, Mr. Horke,
Still here.
Mr. Khan,
Present.
Dr. Keene,
Here.
Ms. Carlson,
Here.
Mr. McCarty,
Here.
Mr. Mooney,
Here.
Mr. Neal,
Present.
Mr. Waniger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We do indeed have a quorum. Thank you very much. There are no announcements of changes to our agenda this evening, so we will move to the approval of the previous meeting minutes, which we actually have two for this evening, from the February 17th, 2026 meeting and the March 2nd, 2026 meeting. Pleasure of the commission.
Motion to approve February 17th and March 2nd meeting minutes.
Moved by Councilor McCarty. Is there a second?
Sure. Second.
Seconded by Mr. Horke. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is for staff to review this evening's rules of procedure. Assuming that's going to Mr. Todd.
It will be this evening. Thank you, Mr. President. We do have a public hearing item this evening, which has the following structure. The petition will be given up to 15 minutes to present to the Plan Commission. The President will then open up a public hearing. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to speak. Those representing a group will be given 5 minutes to speak. We ask that only one member of each group speak, and you will be given 5 minutes for efficiency purposes. We ask for those representing a group to speak first. The public hearing will then be closed when all interested members of the audience have had a chance to be heard, and all emails received during the meeting have been provided to the commission members. The petitioner will then have a time for response, and the commission will follow with any additional comments or questions that they have, followed by additional discussion. So for this public hearing event, we do have a clipboard here. If you would like to speak, we ask that you come sign up on the clipboard and kind of line up along this, which direction? West wall of the building, so we can kind of keep it orderly and moving forward. For rules of conduct this evening, we ask that you just do not disrupt the proceedings in any way. If you need to have a private discussion, we ask that you please quietly exit the room. Please silence your device at this time, and if you must answer it, please quietly exit the room. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest of it applies to general petitions. So we will we'll move forward with that. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much. For those that may be online, obviously there'll be a little time before the public hearing begins, but planners@westfield.in.gov. If you have an email, comments to make, you can start typing now. You can type later, but wanted to make sure that you have the opportunity, if you are online, to do so as you hear this evening's presentation, which moves us to this evening's presentation under the public hearing items 2512-CP-01, which is the City of Westfield Comprehensive Plan. We will first turn to staff for presentation. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thank you. So I'm not going to be the one that's speaking a lot on this for the presentation, but I'm up here just introducing our consultant, Rundle Ernstberger Associates, REA. And we have Cynthia Bowen here, the project lead on the project. She'll be doing the presentation. She has a presentation she'll go over. Again, this is a high-level overview of the comprehensive plan. We're not going to be presenting on every single detail. That'd be 377 pages of the comprehensive plan. We do have it available that we can pull up on the agenda. Specific pages are needing to be referenced, as well as former presentations from the City Council meeting on Monday if we need to pull that up as a reference. But otherwise, I will turn it over to Cynthia.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening, Cynthia, and welcome. The floor is yours.
I'm a little shorter here. So, Mr. President, Commission members, thank you for allowing me to come in and talk to you this evening about the comprehensive plan. Let's see if I can turn here and do this at the same time. So, As I started out at the council meeting on Monday, there is a lot in this comprehensive plan, and I could probably talk up to 2 hours about that content we have in here, but I'm going to try to keep it to about 20 minutes of the presentation and just hit things at a very high level. I think I'll be okay here. So let me give a quick overview. We started this process actually 18 months ago, and back in September of 2024. We have made it all the way through this process with a lot of public input into this process, and we're here at adoption as it's March 2026. The only thing that we have left after we go through the adoption tonight, or not tonight, go through the adoption process, is finalizing the plan. And we still do have a few changes that we need to make to the document, and then anything else that you yourselves or the council might have. So as I said, we have quite a bit of community engagement. A more detailed summary of the community engagement can be found in the appendix of the comprehensive plan. We had 3 different types of engagement. We had workshops, we had general input, and then we had some other categories. So we had quite a few workshops with the staff, the steering committee, with the elected and appointed officials, such as yourselves, and we had a series of focus group meetings, which were technical experts on various topics and category. In the general input, we ended up having 4 open house public meetings. We had 3 meetings with the pastry with the planner, as well as online engagement that people could take advantage of 24/7 for the duration of this project. The website is still going. For our other, we did a whole week of community planning week to get some ideas and thoughts together on where the comprehensive plan map should go, as well as particular goals and objectives. We were there at 4 different winter and summer farmers markets. And we did, for those people who couldn't make it to meetings or wanted to facilitate their own meeting, we did a meeting in the box. And we also met with a variety of community organizations. So all in all, as you can see, we had over 58 meetings with 1,285 participants. Our online engagement was over 4,000 people with approximately 1,000, almost 400 contributions through our website. And you see through the means of engagement, most people went to the direct project website, so over 2,000 people did that. Over 880 came from likely your website, which was linked to the project website. And then, of course, the social media from the city also generated a lot of interest. So, that put the total up near almost 6,000 residents. And what I found out Monday after listening to the mayor is that in the previous 2007 plan, you only had 183 people participate in that plan process, which was only 0.5%. We had 10% of the population engaged in this process, and that's probably one of the highest that I've seen in all of my 30 years of doing this in communities around the country. So Westfield does have a vision statement for its comprehensive plan, and that vision statement serves as an aspirational statement. It describes the ideal future that residents, stakeholders, and elected officials collectively hope to achieve. This statement is a concise statement, but it paints a picture of how Westfield needs to grow over the next 2 decades. This statement really provides a unifying theme that aligns all the other plan elements together, such as transportation, utilities, economic development, and quality of life, all into one singular document for you. The vision also establishes the foundation for identifying the plan goals. And in this way, the vision statement is not just a ceremonial introduction, but it's the anchor to the comprehensive plan, showing how priorities are set, resources are allocated, and progress is monitored over time. So next, what I want to do is talk about the relationship between land use and the place types map. whoops, let me go back to the first one. So what you see here is a matrix that you will find within the comprehensive plan. Across the top, it has all of the examples of the different types of land use. So from the least intensive, which is agriculture, over through single-family detached, single-family attached, mixed use, and then flipping it over to the next page, it then continues on with entertainment all the way to heavy industry. What you can see at the left is the various place types that we have created for this particular plan. So you have the first three, which really focus on single unit or single family residential development. The next four are what we call the missing middle place types. So those are going to have things such as townhomes, duplexes, quadplexes, low-rise apartments that may only have 5 to 8 units within them. Then we have a whole series of employment uses, from trail-oriented development place type all the way down to traditional commercial and flex industrial. And so this is where we've tried to make some shifts in the plan in order to make sure we're garnering the maximum that we can from the tax base and not burrowing the residents. The last two are your tourism uses, so the Grand Park District and then the Grand Park Sports Campus all the way around. And so that focuses on tourists. And then if you see, we have an S or a P in some of these columns. The P means it's a primary use, with the S meaning a secondary use. And if there is nothing in that cell at all, then that means we're not encouraging that land use to develop within that place type. So let me talk a little bit about the place types and how we got here. This plan really does serve as a guide. It's not, even though it took us 18 months to put together, it is still not set in stone. It is a guide that is going to help the city grow and direct that growth over the next 20 years. It should not be a finalized plan and then you go and sit it on the shelf. So let's say, back in 2007, when you guys developed your comp plan then, you didn't have the vision of Grand Park and all that it could do for the city. And if you just let that plan stay there and not modify it at all, then we wouldn't have the type of growth and development that we're having today. But instead, you understood the plan as a guide. You amended it. As a matter of fact, I believe you've amended your plan 9 times, 8 or 9 times. And it has allowed you to use the plan as a guide to guide that growth, where it needs to be, how much it needs to be, and what type of it needs to be. So this plan is no different from that at all. It is the same thing, should be used as a guide, and as conditions change in the city, this plan should change to support that change. So what we have right here is what we call our place types map. We really try to be thoughtful and diligent in working with staff and getting responses back from the public and from persons like yourselves in terms of how we develop this map. We wanted to ensure that the map created a unified vision for the entire township. So we did this through the creation of 19 different place types that you see up there. So this makes sure that the city does not become a development of patchwork developments all throughout the city. It makes sure that it stays connected and contained to the vision that you have for the next 20 years. It also provides options for landowners and what they may want to do. As the mayor spoke on Monday, he's not asking anyone to come in and change their plan. He's not asking them to come in and ask for a rezoning on their land just by what this map says. This map is a future condition, and if people, landowners, want to change their property and do something different, this gives you the opportunity and the guide to know how to go about and do this. It recognizes that Westfield and Washington Township come from an agricultural base, but knowing that that agricultural base is still changing. We tried to be very balanced in putting this map together between the residential along with the commercial, the mixed use, and industrial development. What you can see here in the green areas down in the northwest and in the southwest of the township is that we tried to put in place types that would honor this rural and this equestrian farmland lifestyle that people have come to know and love in those areas. And so we have mapped those with agrihood and estate rural and equestrian. When you begin to see the light yellow areas, so the palest yellow here, the medium yellow, and the dark yellow here, those are a variety of different residential place types. So the light yellow being the most traditional place type that you have in terms of traditional subdivisions that have been developed over time here in Westfield. To the orange, which is a little bit higher density, smaller lots that residential uses have been built on, and sometimes a mix of different types of residential uses within those developments. Then we also have this kind of medium yellow, which we call the village neighborhood. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But this is where we're looking to increase density just a little bit over what we're seeing in these light yellow areas. You'll also see that we have some pink areas here, here, and here. These are the innovation district and serve as campus-like atmospheres for company headquarters or technological or companies that are looking at technological advances in terms of the employment and the materials that they make. We still have our traditional flex industrial, so it continues to be responsive to the market. We also then, you'll see, we have the downtown area right here, which is in the dark blue. That would be overseen by the recently completed downtown plan. So we have made sure that we have referenced in the plan that references back to that plan. Now this lighter blue that you see here, this is all what we call trail-oriented development. And so what we're looking at is really creating a series of connected trails throughout the entire community, not just the named trails, but other ways for people to get around, whether they're biking, walking, using golf carts, whatnot. We also are looking at ideas and thoughts about parking your car once and being able to walk to different areas within the community. So, we looked at those types of concepts and incorporated those types of development principles into this map. The pink areas that you see here are the village centers. And what we tried to do is the staff has done quite a bit of study on Jolietteville, on Lamont, on Eagletown, of Hortonville. And so they understand the character that exists there. And so what we're trying to do is create a node by which you have a little bit more intensive uses. You have a mixed use there. Place to go for people to shop and get access to everyday needs. Surrounding that then is that higher intensity residential that would have a mix of residential uses that, again, people should be able to get in. It's connected well enough that people can get in there or on their bikes or walk over to the village center and eat at a restaurant. The other blue that you see up here is taking advantage of something that the state has, which is called ADORA. And it allows the city to create a riverfront district, even along streams and drainage areas. And so again, we're looking at this particular area of having a special type of development there that would be interplaying with the trails that would connect to that area and also promote more restaurants and retail and mixed uses along that particular corridor. The last thing I'll mention is right here, we have Grand Park, and then we have the sports campus around it. The maroon that you see here is the destination development. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. But that is an area that's going to be more focused for both tourists as well as residents of Westfield, but also regionally. So one of the things that we really had to look at here is that we knew that we needed to begin to shift the density within the community. We couldn't, because of the way property taxes are structured and their needs for the future, the way the city is growing, we needed to have a way to balance and allow some gentle density increases and also ensure that we had employment uses so we could really close the gap of what you needed in infrastructure. So this is a chart that was created by one of our partners, Urban 3. They did an assessment of where the city was right now with what we currently spend on transportation and stormwater infrastructure. As you can see, right now we spend $20 million. Based upon what we're projecting in the future, based off this place type map, is that you're going to need $34 million annually to maintain the transportation and the stormwater. So we have to make up that overall gap of $14 million. And so that way that we're doing that is by broadening the different place types, encouraging more employment uses in very deliberate places within the city, and then increasing residential density in certain areas so that we could increase the tax base from that and cover this particular gap. So one of the things that we did, and I kind of alluded to this as I went over the place types map, is that we created nodal development concepts. And we centered these around all of the little burgs. So Jolietteville, Hortonville, Lamont, Eagletown. And we added a new one here, as you can see on this map. But what we want to do is have this village center place type, as I said. It's a place where people can go for their everyday goods and services and needs. It's not going to be like what you see at 161st Street and Spring Mill. It's going to be more tightly developed, smaller in scale, but have that mix of uses, including maybe a mart with a gas station, maybe several restaurants that people then can walk to. So in order to have this village center node, we then needed to surround it with higher density, a little bit higher density neighborhoods. And so that is what you see in the yellow area. So you go from the pink, the density steps down to the darker yellow, and then it steps down to the light yellow, which is your traditional residential, which is between about 3 to 4 dwelling units per acre right now. So, and the key is we have targeted increase in density in key areas of the community. Not whole spread and wholeheartedly across the community, but only in key areas of the community where it makes sense and the transportation network can support that. So what I want to do now is I'm going to first kind of talk you through the setup of the place types, because again, that really takes up the bulk of the plan. I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's also a whole transportation component to this plan. There's a thoroughfare plan embedded into the comprehensive plan that supports that place types map, but I'm really going to focus on the place types tonight. So each place type will start out with a description and of what that place type is and the key characteristics. So this particular one is the village neighborhood, so that medium yellow area that you saw around the pink square. And so we want to make sure that that area has a mix of different residential types within it. whether it is single-family homes to duplexes to townhomes. Those would all be appropriate here. You see, as shown in the picture, they have a smaller lot size, even though you have a good-sized house on that particular property. The next thing we do is we then go through and talk about the recommended land uses. So the areas that you see colored in the black circle are primary uses. The ones that you see that are circled in with a half-colored circle are considered secondary uses, so they're there to support the primary use. And then when you see an open circle, it means those types of uses are not encouraged to be in this place type at all. The other thing that we did was we wanted to make sure, and again, in linkage to the thoroughfare plan, we wanted to make sure that we then identified what our preferred street networks were. This really gets to the connectivity aspect of the neighborhoods of this area, so that, again, we're promoting that walkability and some of that mixed use. So on the page, we have 1 to 2 pages following each place type. And so what it shows are examples of potential development that could occur. You know, what we want that character, what that style to be, what that feeling is when you would experience if you're in that location. So the next couple of pages I'll show you are directly from the comp plan itself. We get into very specific detail describing that character of that growth. So we talk about mobility, so what that street network looks like, where commercial vehicles could travel, how is there bike and pedestrian connectivity, what about golf cart connectivity. We also talk about off-street parking and then speed and capacity for each of those place types. We then move into the site design elements. So this really gets into how the property is laid out, how a lot is laid out, and how those uses interact with one another. So we give suggestions on the block and lot patterns, the different access points, and how do you know you need 2 access points over 1 access point? How do you ensure that each of the neighborhoods are connected, interconnected with one another, and that the trail system is connected? We talk about the building placement, because that's really critical, especially when you're trying to create a more walkable environment. But it also makes people feel more comfortable and more safe when you focus on the design of how subdivisions or future development looks. We also talk about setbacks. Again, off-street parking and how that should be handled on the site. We get into amenities and open spaces. So not just looking at what the trail connections are, but other things such as public and private open spaces, parks and recreation, and how all of those should be connected together within the community. We talk about landscaping and how that should look, and then also get into stormwater management, trying to move away from site-specific stormwater management to more regional approach to site stormwater management. So the next one that I want to talk about is the village center. And so this was the pink map in the center. So those little nodes and pockets of increased density that we are creating in very specific areas in the community, and specifically around the burgs. This place type supports small-scale commercial service, retail, and civic uses, and as I said, in very strategic places. It really kind of harkens back to when these little burgs were created. They had a mix of uses right in their core, and some of those uses still exist today. This really should act as a mini Main Street, if you will. So it's only 2 or 3 blocks in size and has a variety of focused increase in density from maybe 2 to 3 stories, but no more than that. These things, or these types of place types, should have really a strong grid connection and a network that prioritizes pedestrians and cyclists over cars. The Village Center focuses on incorporating historic or vernacular architecture that pays homage to what was previously there in the Bergs. And so this would be, if you will, the highest density of all of the mixed-use areas that, we have put out there. So this is an example of some of the things that we're looking at. A couple of stories tall, landscaping, open space, gathering places. And it could be maybe with retail or restaurants on the first floor and apartments or offices on the second floor. So next we have the master planned mixed-use development. And so this is a residential place type that would be located along primary transportation routes. It is, if you will, the yellow-orange areas that you would see on the place types map. And it's used to foster transition from existing residential and commercial areas to bring about more horizontal and vertical mixed use on a parcel. What makes this area different from the village center and the village neighborhood is that these areas contain existing residential and single commercial use buildings already. And we're hoping that eventually it will transition into more of a mixed use, mixed residential area. New non-residential uses should be integrated into the redevelopment of the existing node, but really make sure that they are on the major corridors and on the outside. So again, this shows some of the different types of residential, from single unit to duplexes to even small apartment, high-rise or low-rise apartments, and then mixed use. The next one I want to discuss is trail-oriented development. This is a new concept for this particular plan, but I'm sure that you have heard it throughout central Indiana. Most certainly Carmel is taking advantage of that, but what it does is look at very focused trails, predominantly the named trails, and looks at creating development that is integrated into that trail so that there is play, if you will, between the buildings and that trail. That restaurants kind of burst out onto that trail where people might be able to sit outdoors, eat, have their pets with them. So we're looking at this to be more of a mixed-use area. And so we're taking advantage of the unique characteristics of development that occur around trails and ensuring that it's integrated within the community. Again, these are some examples of different developments around the country that have been integrated, where you can directly access the trail from a business, or you have residents overlooking the trail. As you can see, you have multiple users on it, and there are amenities for folks to take advantage of as they're walking throughout with their family. The next one I want to talk about is destination development. And so this particular place type really focuses on being a major economic anchor within the community. It's adjacent to Grand Park and Grand Park District. And we want to make sure that it functions as a significant contributor to local tax revenue, job creation, and really fostering that tourism. What we're trying to do here is ensure that people who are coming in, whose children are playing at Grand Park, they're not coming in for 3 days. We want them to come here for 4 days, 5 days, a week, and spend their time here because we offer that quality of life for them. And we have this destination development. These types of areas are going to be well designed. They're going to be walkable. include pedestrian-friendly streetscapes and plazas and green spaces. The big thing to this, though, is that it's high-quality development and it's experiential development. So if you think about the mall down at 146th Street or out at Exit 10, that is something that is what we call experiential. You go there because you're experiencing it. You're going there as a destination because you're going to spend time there. So as we show in these pictures, we take, of course, inspiration from the Grand Park Development Concept Plan that are looking to add in different types of recreation uses, indoor recreation uses, hockey rink, maybe a ski slope. But it also has things like a movie theater and other things, restaurants, themed restaurants that people could go to and experience while they're there. So the last place type that I want to talk about is the Innovation District. And these were in that more kind of magenta pink area that you saw on the map. These areas would be predominantly office and flex space that provide the support necessary for entrepreneurship, research and development, and technological advances. The idea behind this area, this place type, is that it would be the development of new products, ideas, and services for the city and, frankly, for the country. This place type would have compact urbanized infrastructure and development that are more in a campus-like setting. It might also have day-to-day support things, whether it be a printing shop, a coffee shop, a bike repair shop. Because what we're finding is the new generation, the next generation that's entering the workforce, they want to be able to live right near where they work and be able to walk or bike. And so this innovation district, while it's focusing on entrepreneurship and focusing on headquarter businesses, has that ability to be able to have that residential adjacent to it so that we can attract that younger crowd and younger families into the community. As you can see from the images here, the precedent images, we have open space areas which are conducive to congregate between various businesses, recreation areas, and then support areas for, as I said, maybe it is a coffee shop, maybe it is a repair shop. So that is the Innovation District. So with that, like I said, I could go on for another hour and a half about what's in this comprehensive plan. As Caleb said, it's at a hefty 367 pages. But I think ultimately, it really provides great direction for where the city needs to grow and how that is going to happen over the next 20 years. So after tonight's meeting, of course, we're here at the public meeting. You guys will take public input. We will be over here writing down all kinds of comments. We'll come back to you next Monday for official recommendation on adoption of the plan. And then we will be back at the council on March 23rd for their final adoption of the plan. And so with that, that concludes my presentation. And then I'll let you open it up to the public input.
Great. Thank you very much. Before we move to the public hearing, is there any initial questions or comments or clarification before we get to the public hearing portion? Seeing and hearing none. What we will do, as all of you heard before, I'll just quickly remind you, if you are here to speak, you will come up and kind of line up along this wall. You can sign up there at the clipboard. If you already signed up, you don't have to sign up again. If you're online, planners at westfield.in.gov. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. You will be timed. And my ask would be, I know there's a lot of feelings related to this document, that we all allow each other to speak, that everyone has a right in this room to be heard, and it's my job to ensure that you have the right to be heard, and I will do that. I promise you that. And then once that public hearing is closed, then we will kind of internalize, let the presenters answer any questions that they hear. from tonight. This is not a dialogue, so if you ask us a question, I'm probably not going to answer it. We'll let staff and the team, the consultant team, thank you, Bob, answer those questions, and then we'll internalize up here and go from there. So with that, I'm going to open this public hearing at 7:40 p.m. If you please would, whoever is first, come to the podium, make sure your microphone is on, state your name and address for the record, and then at that point, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. Thank you. I just have a little handout. It's 3 pages. I have 1 minute per page. If you could pass them that way. I have these 3 for you all and 1 here. Thank you. Yeah. I want my thumb drive back, too. They're expensive. Oh, that's not mine. Yeah, just open that. Yeah, and there's 3 pages, so I'll just begin. Okay, that's a little hard to see. Okay. Oh, thank you. And how would I turn the page, or can I ask you to turn the page? Oh, okay. Just a down arrow and an up arrow. Thank you. My name is Jen LaGreca, and I live at 1445 Old Briar Lane. I have a Carmel, Indiana address, but I am indeed a Westfield resident. And I know some of you, and some of you know me, and you know our community of Bainbridge. We're 15 executive custom homes. Each one is appraised about $1 million. Our last sale a couple of years ago was $1.1 million. We are 15 families on the cul-de-sac, little street called Old Briar Lane, in between Westfield, Western Way, and the T-stop for 151st Street on Old Briar Lane, just south of Target. And we are happy and proud to say we contribute over $100,000 in property tax to our community. So our issue is the same as it's been, and some of you already know our issue. And if I direct you to the new comprehensive plan, in the thoroughfare plan in the draft, there's this little circle on the bottom. This is our issue. This is 151st Street, and this is Greyhound. Okay? And you know the roundabout by Target. Westfield Boulevard.
Pause the time for just a second. Go ahead and make sure when you're speaking as much as possible into the microphone, because there's people online watching, and they're going to see you talk and not hear anything. You may
sorry.
You're okay. You may resume the time.
Sorry about that. So there's a proposed road that we were surprised to see on the new comp plan because we objected to it on the old one. It's actually on the thoroughfare plan, and it would extend Westfield Boulevard from 151st Street down to Greyhound Pass, which would be right by our little cul-de-sac street, Old Briar Lane. And it would involve cutting down a line of trees, a beautiful line of mature trees. Let me go to the next page. And right now, across the street from us, there's an empty lot with 1 home being built. These are a little bit less than an acre each. There's 1 home being built, according to Zillow, on the left lot, and the middle lot and the right lot are sold. We don't know who owns them, but we assume 2 residentials will go in there, single family. And the one on the left is in the $1 million range. And you can see that tree line of mature trees that it would extend to the back of those homes, and we're just south of that. And that tree line, Westfield has an easement for. It's not part of those properties. And beyond the tree line is Goodwill and Target. So we don't want one day to find
Thank
that
you
you
for your comments.
bulldozed
That
the
concludes your time.
trees. Okay? So I just want to say,
Was that 30
we
seconds?
would like that road
Was that
to
over?
come off the thoroughfare plan. And we hold you on your honor to preserve
Thank you.
existing residential communities.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, and I'll ensure that this is entered into our record.
Thank you.
So I'll direct that to staff. Thank you for the documentation. Make sure you don't forget your thumb drive.
The third page is a petition we
Yep.
all signed.
We'll make sure that that's all entered into the public record. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next up, if you would please again give your name and address for the record, and then your 3 minutes will start. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you. My name is Craig Wood. Live at 167 East 191st Street. I know most of you on the group up here. Actually talked with a couple of you Tuesday night or Monday night after the council meeting. I'm a lifelong resident of Westfield. I've seen it develop beginning in the southwest quadrant, counterclockwise. I live in the northwest quadrant of the township. So it's made a big circle, and it's coming in my neighborhood. My biggest concerns are actually the village concept ideas that you've had. I appreciate from the slideshow. The impression that I get on at least part of it is it would mirror the villages of West Clay. My concern about that is that's a very nice area. My sister actually lives there currently. But my biggest concern is knowing the population of the residents and their lifestyle and home style in Lamont, Hortonville, Joliet, and Eagletown. That's a night and day difference from the village of West Clay. I want to know how you plan to market this plan to those folks in a way that will be both acceptable and palatable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Greatly appreciated. Okay, next on deck. Very good. Please
Good
state your
evening.
names for the record and your address, and the floor will be yours.
Thank you. Jane Callahan, 135 North Union Street and 139 North Union Street.
My name is Patrick Callahan, 135 North Union, and we own the house at 139 North Union.
Mr. President and Council, thank you for giving us this time. I'm sure you're aware of this, but there is a historical district that was set aside in 2019. The north boundary is Penn, east boundary Walnut, south Park Street, and west Camilla Court. Our house is inside of that historical district. We also understand that the downtown plan, part of the comprehensive plan, may change that. We're the second owners of the home at 135. The Stalkers owned it before us from 1901 to 2003. We spent 6 years restoring that property. We moved to Westfield in 2019. When we moved to Westfield in 2019, we were greeted in our mailbox with a letter that talked about the 32 expansion and the potential of Penn Street coming through. So we delayed all of the exterior, improvements until that was settled. That was settled in 2022, where Penn Street was not coming through. So we went ahead and did all the exterior improvements as well as putting in our landscaping and pool in the back. I would just ask that you would give us some consideration of moving that housing line, which is now at Penn Street and North, moving it south to 32 so that some of the 38 buildings that are part of that historic district can remain there. I know that Westfield has a propensity to keep historic buildings, and so we would just ask that we be a part of that.
I would just like to say that when we purchased the property in 2003, I had an office, I owned the building on Park Street, and I was growing out of space, and I contacted a realtor, and he said, I have this house that's been up on the market for 2 years, and I said, I want to see it, so I went. He took me there, broken windows, floors that were rotted out, the roof was bad.
30 seconds.
Time's up? Okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds, thank you. But we put a lot of money in that. The electrical is brand new in that building. The plumbing's all new, a new roof, and all the woodwork inside is beautiful. And we preserved it. I found the blueprints in the cellar, and I restored it the way it was originally in 1901. So we ask for your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for your testimony. Greatly appreciated. Okay.
So invite you all to come see it if you'd like. You can
Lovely.
give us a call.
Thank you very much. Next up on deck, again, if you are here to speak, you can line up along the wall, and there is a clipboard there for you to sign. And again, planners at westfield.in.gov for anybody who is online. Good evening. State your name and address for the record, and the floor will be yours.
Awesome. Erica Strom, 14701 Melbourne Court. I'm a resident, obviously. I'm also a member of the Township Board, so I thought that should be noted. I wasn't sure if I was going to speak or not, but I have made some notes. I do want to say that I am glad that we're finally redoing our comprehensive plan. So it's not that I am against this. There's a lot of hard, lovely work that's gone into it. There's just a couple of things that I wanted to mention. Apartments, townhomes, and duplexes. How many do we need? My understanding is we're only sitting at about 60% occupancy right now for those. My youngest child is 12, and even when I drive him around, he's like, is that another apartment building? So even he's noticing that. I worry about occupancy. I worry about architectural standards. There are some of the apartment complexes that have just been built in the last few years that are already starting to look their age, and they're already starting to not look very good. If you drive through Fisher's, you know, there's apartments there that aren't that old that don't look good. I feel like it's kind of starting to look like Castleton. I worry because of occupancy, and this is from a township perspective, that we're giving people deals to come and move into these apartments, and then when the deal is over, they can't afford the apartment. And then where do they turn? They turn around and look or need public assistance. And I believe that's happening quite a bit because of all these apartments. So that's a concern to me. Infrastructure, of course, is a concern. Just yesterday, I was driving on Westfield Boulevard near 151st Street, and the road looks horrible. It looks bad, and it's not the only one in Westfield. So that's a concern. The villages, looking at everyone sitting here, a lot of these people look like they're lifelong. I've been here about 30 years. A lot of these people have been here a lot longer. I feel like the farther you get out in the township, we should be getting less dense, not more dense. And Ironstone is a concern. I'm not sure if these residents want 2- and 3-story buildings where they've called home for decades and decades and decades. The village concept is kind of reeking 15-minute city to me, which has its own issues if you don't know what 15-minute cities are. Let me see, what else did I write here? And if you get on social media, you'll hear a lot of people say, is this going to be a Timu West Clay? So that's another thing that's been, what is this actually going to look like? How many villages? We have a downtown that we're spending all this time and money redoing. Do we need to have it all throughout the township? And then the final thing I wanted to say is, you hear this comment a lot. I think someone even said it at council on Monday night. We're trying to build somewhere that our kids want to come back to. I have 4 children. My oldest is a senior at Purdue, and he's graduating in May. And frankly, he doesn't want to come back to Westfield. He loves Westfield. He graduated. He played football on 2 of our state runner-up teams. We love it here, but it's not the place we originally moved to. And I'm not sure they want to come back. The schools are too big. It's too dense. So Think about the people who have lived here. How big do we need to be?
Thank you so very much for your comments. Greatly appreciated. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, my name is Birch Dalton. 555 East Main is Edge Rock. I'm speaking on behalf of my company and my family. I got a couple of comments and one request. This plan, and I'm sure all of you read all 366 pages of it in the last 2 days, just came out on Monday, but yet you want to vote on it on the 26th. That sounds like a Congress cram down plan on the health care. Nobody's reading it. So I would respectfully ask that we put a little break on it and give everybody time to read it. Because a couple of things. One, you'll see it says policies up there. I've had a comprehensive plan be a blunt instrument over my years in development. So I'd like a chance to read it for myself, because looking at your map, you're changing 6 of my properties, which, you know, does that mean my zoning and PUDs in place are going to get impacted or slowed down when I want to develop it? The nice lady said she's interviewed thousands of people. I just talked to 2 other developers that have major investments in this town, just like me. Nobody talked to me, but yet you're changing my properties. So that's a little dicey. So all I ask is that you slow down the adoption of this until we all have a chance to read it and send you logical responses to it, because I haven't read it yet. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. Good evening. Name and address for the record, and the floor will be yours.
Yes, my name is Megan Arsman Weisbrot. I own 18057 Joliet Road and 4104 Elkhorn Way here in Westfield. My parents moved up here from the south side of Indianapolis over 50 years ago and purchased the property on Joliet Road. I have inherited it alongside my sister. It's our family farm. We have 20 acres. We're dirt rich. That's it. Thanks to the city tax line being right there on our northern property. You know, a gentleman mentioned looking at these villages of Hortonville and Jolietville and Eagletown and seeing that we are definitely not West Clay. We are our own. I mean, Jolietville, if anybody knows some of the history of it, it's not something you really want to continue to share in this day and age anyway. But it worries me with having this property for so long, and with the hopes that my daughter could continue raising our horses and chickens and everything else and continuing to enjoy it alongside some of our other neighbors down on Joliet Road that have their own agriculture property, and seeing the fact of an innovation district and wondering, what is that going to entail? Is that going to mimic Lebanon's LEAP district and all the issues they're having? Another concern that I have is the availability of green space and places for our children and sports facilities. I am a commissioner with WYSI softball, and we are losing space for our kids to play. We don't have places for our kids to go and play for free. They can't play at Grand Park. If we have kids that register with WYSI, we have to pay an exorbitant amount to rent Grand Park. We are being kicked out of school facilities because our schools need it. There's nothing in that plan for baseball, softball diamonds. There's no places for open green concept to have kids go and play and get away from electronics, enjoy the outdoors, and be what they're supposed to be, which is children. I didn't see any of that. So I really, it's a really big concern for me. Our softball program has grown immensely this year, and we have no place to play now. Same with our baseball program. We don't want to lose this for the kids. And if you want this to be a place where your children come back, you got to give them a place to play and make the memories, not be able to walk and go get another Starbucks 5 minutes down the road.
20 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Next up on the dais, please state your name and address for the record, and the floor will be yours.
Very nervous lady.
That's okay.
I'm going to read from this. I apologize for being
You're going to do
nervous.
great.
Okay, thank you. Deep Kayla Plant. My address is 3427 West 206th Street in Sheridan. Okay. I want to thank you for teaching me to pay attention to what local government is doing. I was naive thinking Westfield City Council decisions won't impact me because I live in the township outside the city limits. I was wrong. Planned thoughtful growth in a community is good. Out of control growth is not. You say it's planned, I say it's out of control, it's all perspective. When people flood into a community, that community changes, and sadly, its culture changes. You're excited for all the new people moving in, but do you ever consider the people who have lived here 10, 20 years or their whole lives? Do you wonder if they support this growth? We no longer have a community, it's a collection of people where their agendas and apparently their individual ability to choose their own speed limits and various other traffic-related decisions. The school board apparently says we need even more growth. Why? So we don't have schools sitting empty in 10 years. Maybe more thoughtful planning should have taken place so this wouldn't be a concern. When you throw the gates wide open to embrace a flood of people who think they want to come here, get ready for the damage that comes with it. 10 years ago, we needed apartments. Now they're around every corner with even more being built, even though the current ones are not at capacity. But then I hear apartments aren't good because we need families to keep the schools full in 10 years. And those families won't be living in apartments. We need even more housing developments. It's like a dog chasing its tail. What's your goal and what is reality? I've never been on a city planning board, but decisions like this make me certain that we can do better, make more thoughtful decisions. Who's to say someone moving here today will be here in 5 years? Who's to say they will keep coming? If you've got a crystal ball, I'd like to borrow it sometime. But in the meantime, I encourage thoughtful decision-making, taking into consideration the many people who knew the old Westfield and are having a hard time with what it's being changed into. And lastly, why the assault on farmland and nature? You do understand the importance of that these play in our existence, don't you? Or are you part of the crowd that says, we don't need farmland, we get our food from the grocery store? I realize the crops farmed in this area don't go directly to dinner tables, but the commodities do go into a number of products that we use. What happens when there are no more farms? I attended the joint City Council School Board meeting where the superintendent spoke fondly of one day visiting an agri-hood with his grandkids and talking about what you'd find on a farm.
30
I was
seconds.
appalled. You're reminiscing about something that you helped destroy. Small family farms should be supported and saved. If you want to make this a destination place, include creating small, regenerative family farms on your master plan. That will be a pearl in your oyster. And I even struggle speaking here tonight because it seems like the agenda has already been set, and even though there are public hearings, my heart says have hope, and my gut says you're going to do what you want to do.
Thank you. That concludes your time.
That's it? Okay. I was almost done anyway.
You did great. Thank you so very much for your comments. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Joe Brandenburg. I live at 18468 Sandy Cove Lane, Mr. McCarty's area over there. I'm a newbie to Westfield. I'm one of the people that moved here because I was attracted to Grand Park. My son plays baseball, loves sports. My daughter does dance and theater. She's now a Purdue student. We came from the East Coast. We're outliers. Although I'm a native Hoosier, I will admit I'm from the region. So I did come back home. So one, I just want to say I don't envy the position that you guys are in. I think it's a very difficult position that you guys are in this comprehensive plan. It's pretty obvious that there's a lot of effort that went into it. So I do want to say I appreciate that. That being said, I love Westfield as it is today, and I hope I'm not in the minority. I hope the people that are here, that have been here for generations, actually do like part of Westfield. But I really just think that the growth of Westfield is going to be a challenge, and I don't know that you'll ever get enough input to be able to answer it from the people, and there's always going to be somebody mad. No matter what you guys try to do, there's going to be somebody mad. No matter what the city does, somebody's going to be angry. I don't have any answers for you. I just want to say as a new person here, I like some of the things I see in the plan, but I'm not here in Jolietteville and all these areas that were more rural. what I can say as somebody new that lives in an HOA now, I would love to be able to find a 3-acre, 4-acre property where I can build a sort of, homestead type of property where that's not really a super easy option here in Westfield within city limits, right? You can do it and build a well and all that fun stuff, which is, as a city boy, I don't want to deal with, sorry, because I'm a city boy now. But I just want to say thank you guys for opening this up for conversation, and thanks for all the work that you guys put in.
Thank you very much for your comments. Other folks that wish to speak this evening on the public record, good evening. And while you're passing that out, okay, you're right. I'm the one doing the work. Okay, here, I'll let Victor do that. Thank you. While we're passing that out, have there been any emails thus far? None? Okay, very good. Again, if you're, I know she's ready to speak, but if you're here to speak, clipboard, stand up in line. Would love to hear your comments. And she said there may not be enough, so we need to share a few. Victor, you and I can share one in the middle here.
Just while we're waiting, just wanted to verify that everybody did receive the emails from earlier this afternoon.
Yes.
We did receive two messages via email prior to the end of the workday that I've made sure were forwarded to the Plan Commission.
Thank you for that. Okay, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. The floor is yours.
All righty, thank you. My name is Jennifer Smith, and I live at 16941 Joliet Road, the other end of Joliet Road, south side. And first of all, I want to say thank you. I worked on the steering committee of the 2007 comprehensive plan. I understand what goes into it and the amount of time and dedication, and really appreciate all the input that you guys allowed us to have through the process, as long as you were paying attention. And I particularly appreciated seeing some of the updates that were made in this last and final version that did add some changes to that. My hope tonight is that I can continue to facilitate an understanding of what it's like to live rurally. And particularly, my topic tonight is going to be about drainage. We have different concerns than people that live in subdivisions or apartments or condominium areas, and I hope that I can help convey some of the difficulties that we might have there. This is a picture that's not in your packet, but this is looking from the road to my house. That is my bridge, that is water, and that is water filling my hayfield because I own quite a bit of a floodplain on both ends of my property. So that takes me to the next handout that hopefully you've got or can share with somebody that is going to look like this one right here. Okay, so this is where I live, is the purple dot. And if you'll notice, that's just about at the confluence of two parts of the drain. So as you can imagine, I'm getting water. I've got a creek that runs through the back of my property and a creek that runs through the front of my property. The green arrow that is drawn, or green circle that is drawn around on this map, is a part of the drain that comes into the back that was not part of the study that Westfield and FEMA and the county undertook when they were looking at the regulated drains. And I think it was in 2022 that I received a message about this new GIS floodplain maps that Westfield then adopted in, 2023, maybe 2024, when you guys did the new floodplain maps. Just so you know, the maps that generated this, we're using 2012 data for the elevation stats for topography. It did not take into account new development. So the second page that you have on here is from FEMA, and I highlighted in yellow on that page the statement that says that future development of projects upstream could cause increased discharges, which could cause increased flood hazards. None of the development, when you look at this map and you see where I live, all you see are open fields all around here and all of farming. When you displace open fields that can absorb up to 80% of drainage runoff, that's very different than rooftop. Oh, wow, I just started. That's very different from rooftops. Okay, so what I want to say is my property and flooding is a real concern, and if you are putting those rooftops in there, retention and that kind of drainage is a very interesting concept to do regional, but it's untried and hasn't been done here, so I want it to be very carefully thought out. And then the second thing that I want you to look at is the Hamilton County surveyors, because there's a real cost to this.
Thank you. That
And-
concludes your time.
Okay, can I give you this in just one?
I'll give you 10 seconds.
Okay. It might cost me if they have to reconstruct my drain, just like this example that I gave you, and you will see real number examples in there, it could cost me over $100,000. And that could be caused by new development that hasn't been taken into account in any of the floodplain mapping.
Thank you so much for your comments. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Are there further members? Okay. Nope, no problem. When you do, state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes. Appreciate it. And while that's happening, we will make sure that these are also entered into the record for the public documents. Thank you for this.
It's not the full page, but if I do full page, it's going to be a little hard to see. Is that okay?
Yeah, and then I just scroll down.
I'm ready. Thank you, Caleb. My name is Jenny Kelleher, and I live at 3920 West 166th Street in Westfield, Indiana. I've been a resident for 30 years. I was on the Plan Commission when we did the last comprehensive plan and the one before. So I'm a little familiar with it. I want to thank Caleb especially and Kevin and all the staff for all their work on this. I have some concerns. And I'm going to take an example of the phenotype or the place type and land use for agri-hood. And in this, they list, and I've made a copy I will give to Kevin to print off for you, made a list of all kinds of uses, including residential, retail, office, lodging, and civic spaces. A lot of the things in this use don't seem to fit in what they're calling an agri-hood. I know that they're supposed to be secondary uses, but I'm not sure how we define that. On the second page. Oh, okay.
We'll pause your time there for just a second. Or maybe I'll add 10 seconds to the end. Yep.
Okay, well, the next page, which I can't seem to get to. How do I do that?
Caleb will help you.
Okay. The next page is, again, a list of some uses and high-tech manufacturing, maintenance.
If you'll just speak right into that.
High-tech manufacturing, maintenance shops, machinery, labs, biotech, aerospace. None of those seems to fit into agri-hood. The next page talks about agri-hood, and is supposed to be a residential community that integrates, and I'll let you read all this. The question is, how do we define some of these things, and how do we define the open space? I know that in our last comprehensive plan, Randall Arendt had spoken to us, and we had a conservation subdivision. It was for residential development, but in this agri-hood, the same principles could be used for a mixed use. But some of the things listed here don't really fit. And then he gave me this. I need page 56. Can you do that? This is page 56, which are some examples of the agri-hood or agritourism. Most of the pictures are fine. The one in the right lower quadrant does not seem to fit at all with agri-hood or agritourism, unless there's a couple hundred acres of farm around that, and I don't think that's going to happen. So I would like that removed because it doesn't seem to fit. As I go through the rest of the section here on how they define and place types for agri-hood, a lot of these things are exactly what a conservation subdivision is, just not for all simply residential, but for other types.
30
and I would
seconds.
hope that we might be able to bring some of that in. Do I have any time left?
You have 30
I have 30
seconds.
seconds. Oh, and on the drainage that Jen Smith mentioned, there was a subdivision up north. They were going to build it that would require the drain to be reconstructed, and everybody was going to pay for it except the developer. That's not right. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Mr. Skelton.
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. For the record, Matt Skelton with Churchill and Antrim, with offices at 116 North Union Street here in town. I am a real estate attorney, as you know, and I represent the Lang family. They are owners of approximately 250 of the acres that are identified as agri-hood. And they asked me to come this evening and represent to you that they have reviewed the comprehensive plan thoroughly and are fully in support of how it is written today and and are very happy with the work that you have done to prepare this comprehensive plan. Also privately, I live about 4 blocks from here, and my wife and I, she's a lifetime resident here. She and I both are very impressed with what is happening downtown and are excited to see what comes. And this kind of planning is what it takes, so thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much for your comments. Further comments? You'll state your name and address for the records. We'll start your 3 minutes. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Wagner. I live at 3943 Elkhorn Way. I'm getting into this whole Westfield planning on the late side, of course. And I wasn't really able to gather my thoughts sufficiently to say what I would like. But to give you background, I have spent 40 years in construction. My last 8 were spent with a developer out of Chicago that's been in business for 100 years. We took years to look at properties and develop the plans because we had to look at the infrastructure and the drainage and the things that had to be done if there was anything surrounding the property that we took down. We were in an enviable position in that because of the age of the company and the relationships, there were farmers that owned thousands of acres that were moving south, so we took down part of their acreage. They moved south, and we built. What I hear here tonight and what I saw in the 377 pages, and if you take all the pictures out, my guess is it's maybe 20, and all this flowery language is a lot of good ideas, but this is moving too fast, and there are other things to consider. And one of them, I think, is management of this. Because I know that when I built, and I'm in Villages of Oak Manor, the project managers that I spoke with, one-on-one, had too many projects that they were managing at the time. And we're now in a position where north of us, we're talking about the trail development. And I will say it again, the trail is about 8 or 9 feet wide. We're talking about developing along a trail that's 8 or 9 feet wide. We're talking a foot or two when the bikes are going down. We're talking no space if there's whatever they call them, the carts. So if you have the power to put a stop to this and delay it, I would highly encourage you to do that, because I think that there have been points made here tonight that are critical. And I think one of the most important things is we don't want to lose the quality in Westfield, whatever you build. And we certainly don't want to make our infrastructure unreliable or have to do something twice because we haven't thought about it. There's a lot of good ideas in this plan, but there's a lot of pretty pictures. And in reality, I think it's too soon, and I think it needs to be looked at for, you talk about 2 or 3 story apartments. The development I'm talking about is already at 4 stories north. We need time to get this together. This is complex.
Your time is concluded. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments. Greatly appreciated. Any further comments in the room to be made? Yes, if you would just give it to staff there. We'll make sure we get it. We'll make sure that also gets entered into the record. Further comments before I close? Yes, ma'am. Oh, well, if you'll wait, it's not really a dialogue back and forth, but if you don't get it answered when we all start talking, come see me at the end and we'll talk. Any further comments? Any emails before I conclude the public hearing? I'm getting a no response. Last chance in the room. Seeing and hearing none, I will close this public hearing at 8:19 p.m. With that, Cynthia and Caleb, typically when there's a developer present, they'll usually come and answer some questions on things they heard. Do you guys want that opportunity now? To address any questions or things that you heard during the public comments? You're not required to, but we do encourage it. But you're not required to, and I stopped passing this out. It has stopped with me. There's only a couple left. I'll let you guys have them. To the current comp plan.
Okay, yes, we got a lot of good public input this evening, so I thank you for that, and I thank everybody for taking their time to provide that. I guess a couple of points here. On the transportation plan, I think we'll go back and take a look at that. I think maybe the areas that the individual who came up and talked about what was happening in her neighborhood. I don't believe that we have that in the comprehensive plan. She was looking at page 154, and the future transportation map is on page 170, but I think we can resolve her comment. There's a lot of comments tonight about drainage, and as being a resident myself of Westfield, I completely understand that concern. I think what we're trying to do here is not say that everything needs to be regional detention, but it needs to be thoughtful, as most individuals asked tonight, is that, we put ideas and guidance in this plan to help developers or property owners to know what they should do and how they should go about it. Drainage is always a big concern. Roadways are always a big concern and should be studied amply when looking at new developments. I feel like we have taken the time to understand the situation here in Westfield and put together a place type maps that can truly be supported by transportation and infrastructure, stormwater changes that will not have an adverse impact on residents. Regarding the village centers, I hear what everyone is saying. We can certainly go back and take a look at that. But our job is also to try to project into the future what development is going to look like and how fast that pace of growth is going to happen. And what we're trying to do with the village concept is say, we know that we have to have areas with a little bit more residential density. It's not appropriate to have that everywhere in the community. And so we're trying to, right, wrong, or indifferent, build upon an existing fabric that exists. An individual mentioned the 15-minute city. That would be an appropriate concept to think of. Again, where there are goods and services so that people can walk to or ride their bike to in order to take advantage of that instead of having to run down to Meyer on 32 or Kroger at 161st Street. We're trying to make things more convenient. And the other thing that we're trying to do is be thoughtful in how we plan this development out so that it is not a hodgepodge, that it's not scattered, and that it's not uncontrolled. The most important thing that you want your comprehensive plan to do is to manage that growth and manage how that growth looks. And I believe that we have accomplished that in this plan, to be able to provide that guidance so that you all, as the Plan Commission, can look at this plan, and as a developer comes forward to you, and you can say, yes, I can see points in this plan where this may support it, or I see other areas that we've noted in our plan that need to be addressed by this development. That is what this plan is here to do, give you that guidance on what that should look like in the future, how that should feel, and how much of that should be here. I think that probably pretty much concludes my remarks for right now, unless you have specific questions. And I've
sure.
taken quite a bit of notes here.
Yeah.
So for us to, go back with staff and powwow about that.
Great. What we'll do is, commissioners, now is your opportunity either to make comments or ask questions of staff and our team here, starting with Dr. Keene. Are you looking at me to say something?
I always say something.
Dr. Keene, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, having been a member of the 2003 and 2007 comp plan, seeing some colleagues out there were still around, and I could definitely say that in those years, no one would have envisioned Westfield being where it's at today as quickly as it is. This comp plan, when I got on the council in 2016, in the first couple of months, I asked that a new comp plan be developed because it was already outdated then. So this is long overdue. What I can say is, I'll go back to some of your opening words. This is a guide. This is not etched in stone and can never be changed. A lot of it's going to be dependent on timing. What landowner wants to sell what, when, and who's going to be next to him. I mean, I have a philosophy. If this development is here, the next development better be as good as, if not better, than the developments there before. And it should always get better. And better could be less dense, more expensive. Who knows what it is, but we all are guided by some personal philosophies. But I think the biggest thing that people have to understand, it's a guide. And the most important thing is who sits in the mayor's seat, who sits on the 7 city council seats, and who sits on the APC as to what's going to happen. Because it's all fluid and flexible, and going forward, it's dependent upon time. If you have good people who are reasonable and have standards that they want to see set for this community, then this plan will work. If you have people who only care about how much money can we generate so we can do this or do that, it's not going to work. So there's got to be a balance in here, but I think the big thing is people have to keep in mind it's a guide. And it's dependent upon the people leading the community. When 9% of the people in the community vote for the mayor and the city council, and 5% vote one way and 4% vote the other way, 5% of the community is dictating how the community is going to function for 4 years. That's horrible in an educated community like Westfield. But that's the reality. So it's dependent upon us to listen, consider, make sure that our vision for Westfield is fulfilled. This is a dynamic, great community. There are communities of suburbs of Chicago that have been great suburbs for 50 years, and we can be that. But we have to do it right from the start. But we only need a guide. We don't need something etched in stone. So I think everybody here has listened, continue to listen, and go back. And when we have projects presented to us in future APCs and city councils, you consider the community input at the time and try to do the best you can for the community. So,
Thank you, Dr. Keene. Further comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Horke?
Thank you. Not sure I have any questions as much as I just feel that I appreciate how long it's taken to get to where we are, and I've listened to the comments that are coming, I believe, from a part of the community that wasn't aware of what happened for the previous 18 months, so it will seem kind of rushed. Mr. Dalton suggested that it is a pretty weighty document and maybe we're on a pretty aggressive schedule. That's actually sounded kind of reasonable, but if we stay on the track that we're on, most of us here probably aren't going to have an issue with that because we have been tracking this for the last 18 months. So it's not like we just got the 370 some pages to digest in just a couple of days. We've been absorbing it in bite-sized pieces for a long time. So it is something that I was initially thinking only needed an update from the 2007 plan that a number of us here in the room were part of, along with myself. But it did essentially start over, and that's a decision that was made, and we need to do the best we can with it, and not just delay for the sake of delay. We need to do what needs to be done to try to keep the momentum going here and get this discussed, answer anybody's questions. But it needs to be adopted sooner rather than later. And I'm comfortable that we've got a working document that I can support, and to kind of the point that Dr. Keene was just making about being thoughtful about what comes to us and remembering Mayor Willis's comments from Monday night at the conclusion of the presentation and the council discussion about how nobody's going to be told they have to do anything as a result of this. It's all going to be voluntary on the part of any landowner. If they want to have something different happen on their own property, they can control that. If they don't want to have anything different happen, they can control that too. They can just stay there. But they're not going to be able to tell somebody down the street, you can't do something that actually is envisioned in our plan. So it's it's not an easy thing to work out, but I'm comfortable that the 9 of us, the 7 counselors, and the administration, as the development community brings things to us after seeing what we are now looking at as far as the goal for the community and all these areas and how they could develop, I think we're going to probably get on a good path, and we're going to be proud of what this becomes.
Thank you, sir. Further comments or questions from commissioners? Mr. Khan?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I saw you
Mr.
press your
President.
button. I assume you wanted, yep.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to say that we appreciate all the comments tonight. It is a very difficult position, as some of you alluded to, for us to be in a situation where you're constantly dealing with change that needed to happen a long time ago versus change that shouldn't happen, in the future. And being intentional about those developments and how they progress is really why all these boards are set up, for these plans. And we have been dealing with them for, like Mr. Jorge alluded to, that we've been, absorbing this for 18 months. I am definitely in favor of looking at every single point that was pointed out in specificity and seeing what that could mean if we choose to do something with that. But I agree with you. I think that, a lot of it has been delayed for so long that we've been behind, quite frankly, in Westfield. And, now we're playing catch up with quite a few things. But I'm really grateful that we have a mayor that is forward thinking and wanting to get things moving forward in Westfield so that we don't lose the opportunity of becoming something great, which I know that we're on our way to do. So, I know that we'll have time for questions, perhaps with the staff and others, just for more clarity on our sake as to how do we interpret these guidelines, and how far do we take that versus our own ideals of what should be in the area. But I look forward to it, and I just want to say thank you for your patience with this. I know it's not an easy process, and there's always going to be something, that's not perfect about it. But I wanted everybody to know that I can say wholeheartedly, everybody on this council, and on this APC commission really wants the city of Westfield to flourish and wants the best for it. It's just getting that balance is the tricky part, and we hope to God that we will be able to do a good job for you.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Any other comments? Counselor, Mr. Mooney?
I was.
Oh, geez.
Sorry.
Ladies first.
All right. Mrs. Carlson?
I was just going to thank you all for coming and providing such great information, and very intentional, and it was very well thought out, and I think we will take it all to heart. So thank you very much.
Mr. Mooney?
I'm going to read my thoughts because I've been all over the place tonight. Similar to some of the comments that were made on Monday night at the council meeting, there are some items that I'm not in favor of, and that probably comes as perspective of somebody that's lived here for 30 years. But I think there's many more that I think are really well planned out with a lot of input. And I would draw your attention to page 361 in the document, community engagement events. It goes on for 3 or 4 pages. So we sat through many workshops. There's been lots of input. I have children in the school system that were even at some workshops. So I do feel page 361, great starting point. I'll just leave it at that. I think as mentioned by Dr. Keene and others, the comprehensive plan updates are a necessity based on the current plan that's very much out of date. We've been making decisions on a plan back in 2003, 2006 on a lot of decisions that are not applicable to growth, vision, and what's happening around us. The theme of connectivity throughout the guide is represented with a variety of place types. The comprehensive plan should be a guide and a tool that hopefully will help RDC, APC, and City Council make informed decisions in the future. I appreciate everybody's input tonight. We take it serious. We read all the emails and all the comments we get. So thank you.
Councilor McCarty.
Yeah, like my fellow commissioner here, I took a lot of notes and thoughts down while everyone was speaking. But first, I just want to go back to our first speaker, the young lady in red that also spoke at the council meeting. I looked up just what you were referring to after the council meeting, and I want to make sure, cross T's, dot I's, to get the best answer for you. And as what was mentioned, the plan you are referring to is the 2011 thoroughfare plan. So 2011, that's 14, 15 years ago now. There is a new plan included within the comprehensive plan. That's for 2025, and that is on page 177, and that particular area that you circled is not on there. So I just want to reassure you that that is not part of the plan going forward. I'll look that up. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So first, I want to thank the residents who showed up tonight, as it's important to be involved. And thank you to staff for their immense effort and work already poured into this. I'm thankful for the opportunity to have been on the steering committee and involved in the process. There were fruitful conversations. This is long overdue, and there's a lot in the plan that I agree with. But one in particular narrative that I brought up at nearly every meeting, and we heard from residents tonight, is that the Northwest and Southwest needs to be treated in a similar way. I agree with and have been on record supporting higher density where appropriate, such as downtown and Grand Park. The Northwest, though, is not the proper location for apartments, townhomes, and other higher density products. As was referred to this evening, it's nice to echo out as we get into the country living with the density. This is the area I represent, and it has been made loud and clear to me, just all the communication I've received from residents and neighbors, that higher density in the Northwest is not so much desired, which is why, unfortunately, currently I'm a no with the plan. If we could work on this issue, though, that is important to many people who live here, even revert back to earlier versions that we saw during the steering committee meetings, that would be greatly appreciated. So I know we have a little bit of time here before the APC vote this coming Monday, as well as the council vote. I'm fully available to have any conversations just to try to button up this plan to get as workable as possible. But again, I appreciate all the efforts gone into this, just these little nuances that I hope we can work on. So thank you.
Any further comments from commissioners? With that, I'll wrap this up with my comments. This process, I've been doing this a long time, whether it's plan commissions or BZAs or other public boards. An 18-month process, a public process, is unheard of in government. Most things in the legislature happen much quicker. A lot of things that come before us are much quicker. But this process is incredibly public. The reason is because while my friends to the left here mentioned and are correct that this is not a prescriptive document, it is a guide, but it is probably one of the most important guide documents that this city has as it grows. We don't have an opportunity particularly to turn all of the growth away that we have, but what our responsibility is to do so in the best managed process available to us under state code, under state law. And so with that, we have a lot of people, the developers and companies and commercial developers wouldn't be building here if the data didn't suggest that there is a rush to come to this city. It's just a foregone conclusion. The data supports it, the influx supports it, and this document, probably before all of this land is developed, will probably be updated again with how the market responds and the economy. You just never know how it's going to end up turning out, but we have a guide forward, just like any other business plan. If you write a business plan for a business, it may not all turn out 100% the way you wrote it, but you still have to have a governing document and a guide to move forward, and that's what this document does. There have been several drafts over time. I think one of the comments that was stated is that we received a 370-something page document on Monday. That's not the case. That may be the final version, but I've had 300-plus page printout documents handed to me throughout this process, have been available to folks, and I've spent a lot of time reading as much of it as I can, asked questions, give comments, and there have been public hearings, there's been workshops here, workshops. I've been to several of the public workshops that I wasn't involved in, just to see it, to hear it, to understand it, to see what people are saying. And finally, before I kind of close this, I do want to assure the public, one of the comments that was made is that this looks like it changes zoning for parcels that you may or may not own. That is not the case. In fact, that process is governed by state law and ordinance, and will have to come back for this commission for a public hearing, has to come back and be approved with work with staff and all the developers that work with the city do so above board, and we have a great process here in Westfield. I think a lot of people in Hamilton County and probably in Central Indiana envy the process that we have, because it is public and it is collaborative, because we want to do this right the first time. In a 20-year document, we have to get it right. As Mr. Khan said, it's not perfect and it's not prescriptive. If something happens one road over or one road north, that's a little bit different than the comp plan, that happens because state law says we need to contemplate it, not follow it to its letter. And so with that, and with all of the comments that have been made tonight by you and us, and the 18-month process, I think it's advantageous for us that we're not going to approve this tonight, but we will be coming back, we hope, for a Monday vote, and that's the procedure I want to talk about invoking now. Is typically when a development plan comes before us, we will have a workshop meeting, which usually happens 6 weeks after the public hearing, give or take, that discusses the details of that plan so we can give comments and changes and what have you, and then would come back for a final approval after that. Because this has been an 18-month process, I don't know that it is appropriate to hold a workshop. And so I'm going to put that out there for our commissioners to discuss. I believe a workshop, the rule should be suspended and a workshop be waived so that it is eligible for the Monday meeting. And if for some reason that were to change, it then isn't required to come before us on that date if something needed to be changed, but it makes it eligible so that the workshop process that we've already done after 18 months, that's the biggest workshop I think we can make available to the public. And so that would be my, thank you, I do see him. I would be my position, but I believe Caleb may be trying to get my attention, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. For the record, Caleb Ernest. I am a resident of Westfield, 44 East Stargrass Drive. I've been employed here with the city of Westfield since 2017. After college, where I studied urban planning, I was gainfully employed here. So I've not lived here for 30 plus years. I've only lived here for about 9. Got married, started establishing a family. We're calling Westfield our home, right? Much like Cynthia, much like other staff and other community members, it is a sensitive topic, the comprehensive plan, and guiding the growth and development that happens in the future. One thing that I do pride myself as an employee of Westfield is that I will take as much time to receive and talk to members when they have comments. I think if you talk to developers, property owners, other employees, they will all back this up over my tenure here. Whether it's being in the middle of a meeting and taking a call from Jenny, even though I didn't have to earlier today to clarify meetings, or talking to Jen Smith for probably nearly an hour or two at public workshops. Birch Dalton always can talk to me anytime he wants. I mean, any members that I didn't mention, I think it's just something that multiple members up there as well in the APC, I've mentioned in emails and coordinations that I will meet one-on-one and spend as much time to talk to you about any comments that you have. Same thing with council. When I do not receive comments, though, and when we're accused of certain things in public comments, I think that just makes me want to get up again and reaffirm that I'm here to listen. I can't promise that I can address every single comment in the way that's brought to our attention, but as an employee, that is part of my responsibility, is to be available to have those conversations. And again, I just want to reiterate that to everybody here, everyone listening online in the future, is that moving forward, myself, a couple other staff, our 24/7, 5 days a week job is going to be implementing the whatever guiding document of the comprehensive plan is adopted in the future. So our job is a lot different than other municipalities where they don't have the staff dedicated to enforcing and implementing the comprehensive plan. So we have staff here in Westfield, which is unique in municipal planning, that is dedicated full-time to this plan. That's something we didn't have in 2007, something we didn't have in 2003, 1999, and 1970, all the different versions of the comprehensive plans in the past. We didn't have the staff or the resources available to fully implement and manage and update this comprehensive plan. We do have that now. It is a stark difference than what we had in the past. And I wouldn't be saying that up here if I wasn't confident that the staff that we have, as well as myself here, as long as we're employed here, right, we're going to be diligently working on this with the public and with everybody elected and appointed. Thank you.
Thank you, Caleb, for your comments, and that does spur as we move to what we're hopefully going to do, is that the process takes the greatest toll on staff. And so I know I speak for every single commissioner up here, and hopefully all of you in the room, thank you very much for the time that you've put in to make Westfield a better place. Again, we may all agree, we may all disagree on certain pieces of it, but you can't knock the hard work, the dedication, and the expertise that has gone into this process. And the same with our contracting team, bringing in your expertise. We thank you so much for this entire process, and we're very grateful for it. With that, I would turn to commissioners for any action we may want to take.
If we need to waive a requirement for the workshop, I would move to waive the requirement of the workshop, so this would be voted upon next week.
Motion by Dr. Keene. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Khan. Any further discussion? Staff, would you please call the roll?
That's me tonight. Mr. Horke.
Yes.
Mr. Khan.
Yes.
Dr. Keene.
Yes.
Ms. Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. McCarty.
Yes.
Mr. Mooney.
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
Mr. Waniger.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Rules are suspended and the workshop is waived, and it is currently the anticipation that this will return to us for a final recommendation on the preceding Monday meeting. With that, that concludes the public hearing item that we have for this evening. Thank you all so much for coming. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. There are several items that are continued for a future meeting. Ironstone, Sugarleaf, 199th and Monon, and Trace Commons. So we will be looking for those, as you see in the notes there, the anticipated dates for that. Any questions or any comments from staff related to any of that? I see a no. We'll wait just one moment for folks to clear the room. If you would take your comments, if you are going to speak, to do so outside. We got a little more business to conduct before we close. Thank you so much. If you would please take all conversations outside, that would greatly be appreciated. Thank you. With that, we move to our reports and comments for this evening. Plan Commission members to each other. Seeing and hearing none. City Council Liaison, Councilor McCarty.
Yeah, it's almost 9 o'clock, so as always, if you have any questions from my email updates from council meetings, please let me know. But otherwise, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Board of Zoning Appeals, Dr. Keene.
Yeah, we actually had a meeting last night, and we had one item. We got done in 9 minutes. It was nine minutes. Yeah. So, well, it's because somebody talked too long. But we did, there's a little development up north, just off of 31, that every lot is out of compliance because it was developed in 72. So we just had to make some changes to put that lot in compliance, and we did that.
Very good. Plat Committee Liaison, Mr. Horkay.
Haven't met since our last meeting. I haven't heard if we're going to meet this month yet or not.
Good report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a pretty common report, which is not a good thing, but when there's more stuff to do, I'll have something to report.
Very good. Community Development Department to the board.
Nothing new, just another reminder, Monday, it's a 7:30 start time, not a 7 PM, and it is at this facility, so we'll be here at City Hall. There were a handful of packets that were passed out tonight by the speakers. I don't know if you received all of them or not. We have copies of them here. Yeah, so we'll make sure you get them. If you, we'll scan them and email them to you if you don't have them.
You do have them all, because I have all the ones that were handed to us are here if you needed to verify that you had them all.
Jen Smith, we do not have. She said she'd email it to me, but
We
if
have
you
hers.
okay.
Yeah, let's give them to you at the end.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor McCarty. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mooney. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:50 p.m.